week 4 already of the fantasy baseball season, and here's a few pitchers I look to pick up this week. The first guy, Drew Smyly of the Chicago Cubs. Says Smyly, he was flirting with a perfect game in his last outing, and right now still out there surprisingly in 90% of fantasy leagues. On the season here for Smyly, 23 innings, 2-1 record, 23 strikeouts, a 3.13 ERA, 0.9 whip, and a quality start. So Smyly, we know he's bounced around the league over the last few seasons, but he's a guy that's gone out there and at least he could eat innings. Worst case scenario if he gets hit hard in a ball game. So far on the season, it's been a mixed bag of results. I know only the one quality start under his belt, but he's going out there and he's getting the job done over the last few games here. So the last few games here for Smyly: April 10th versus Seattle, 5 innings, no decision, 2 hits, a run, a walk, 7 strikeouts in that ball game. April 16th at the Dodgers, 5 2/3, got the win, 4 hits, a run, 2 walks, 3 Ks. And then April 21st versus the Dodgers again, he's got the Dodgers numbers so far this season here. Obviously, they're done versing them. They went there, and the Dodgers came to Wrigley Field, 7 2/3, got the win. Like I said, flirting with that perfect game, 1 hit, no runs, 10 strikeouts, and a quality start. So Smyly off to a solid start so far in the early going the season. I know this Cub team, it's going to be a hit-or-miss type of offense for them, where there's some games they're going to give them run support and some games they're not. But right now, April 27th is his next outing versus a good hitting team, obviously, with the Padres, even though they're struggling early in the season. But right now, I would go out there and get Smyly, and he's probably the top pickup this week at the pitching position on the wire. The next guy, Seth Lugo of the San Diego Padres. So go back as a starter here. After many seasons, he was a setup man and a closer at times for the New York Mets. The Mets did give him a chance as a starter many seasons ago, but obviously that didn't last long. So far on the year here for Lugo, 22 1/3, 2-1 record, 23 strikeouts, 2.78 ERA, 1.28 whip, and 3 quality starts. He's off to a nice start, no doubt about it, in the early going here, Seth Lugo. And once this offense could get going and play up to potential for this Padre team, more run support obviously will be there as well for Lugo. So the last few games here for Lugo: April 15th versus the Brewers, it was a down game, 3 2/3, no decision, 8 hits, 3 runs, a walk, 5 strikeouts. And April 21st at the Diamondbacks, 6 innings in that one, got the loss, 6 hits, 2 runs, a walk, 6 Ks, and a quality start. So right now, Lugo's gone out there. He's been pretty stretched out pretty quickly in spring training to go 6-7 innings in most of his outings so far this season. And right now, with an offense that has the potential to break out and be one of the better offenses in the league, even though they were off to a slow start to give him good run support, Lugo's definitely a guy we'll go out there and get. And right now, he's available still in 51% of fantasy leagues. The next guy's Mackenzie Gore, a former San Diego Padre, but now on the Nationals, obviously, and one of the main blue chippers in that deal for Juan Soto last season. So on the year here for Gore, 21 innings, 2-1 record, 25 Ks, a 3.43 ERA, 1.38 whip, and 2 quality starts on the season. So Gore surprisingly out there still in 62% of fantasy leagues. I know he's on a national team that plays in a tough division and a team that don't score the baseball that well, but he's a guy that could go out there and just give you quality starts. And yeah, the wins probably won't pile up, but strikeouts, quality starts, and some innings he definitely could give you. April 7th at the Rockies, 6 innings, got the win, 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, a quality start. April 12th at the Angels, a down ball game, 3 2/3 in that one, no decision, 4 hits, 2 runs, 4 walks, 6 Ks. And April 19th, a mediocre ball game, but got the loss versus the Orioles, 6 innings, got the loss, 3 hits, 3 runs, 4 walks, 7 Ks, a quality starts. His next outing, pretty tough one once again, April 26th coming up at the New York Mets. But Mackenzie Gore, pretty solid lefty, a blue chipper, like I said, top prospect in the Padres system and one of the main pieces in the Soto deal last season. So right now, even on a bad national team, I would go out there and get Gore this week. The next guy, Eduardo Rodriguez of the Detroit Tigers. So Rodriguez, it's been a solid start for him so far this year here. And he's going out there and he's pitching great baseball for Tiger team on the season. 31 innings, 1-2 record, 25 strikeouts, a 2.50 ERA, and a 1.01 whip with 3 quality starts on the season. So Rodriguez right now, he's still out there in a decent amount of fantasy leagues right there. Very surprising, 77%. But after this week and after another good outing in yesterday's game here for Rodriguez, he's a guy that won't be available in many fantasy leagues if he has one more great outing coming up in his next start. So the last few games here for Rodriguez: April 12th at Toronto, 6 innings in that one, no decision, 7 hits, a run, a walk, 3 strikeouts, a quality start. April 18th versus the Guardians, 8 innings in that one, got the win, 4 hits, 10 strikeouts in that one, a quality start, and no runs given up. And April 23rd at the Orioles, 7 innings, no decision, 1 hit given up, no runs, 6 Ks, and a quality start. So Rodriguez, he's going out there and he's finding form finally. After the last few seasons, it's been a struggle with him with the Tigers, and he's getting back to Boston Red Sox form is Rodriguez. So right now, he's one of the hotter pickups on the waiver wire. He's going out there pitching good baseball, and he's in a division where there's not many great hitting teams in the AL Central. So right now, Rodriguez, even on a poor Tiger team where they don't score the baseball a lot, Rodriguez is going out there and he's pitching good baseball, and he's definitely a nice pickup this week. The next guy, Mason Miller of the Oakland Athletics. So Mason Miller was a guy mentioned last week is who could come up soon for this A team, and he came up to the major leagues quicker than I thought. He was in Double-A only a few weeks ago, and on the season, only 1 outing under the belt for Mason Miller, 4 1/3 in his first career outing. But this guy has high strikeout potential, and another guy with an offense that's not going to back him, but one of the top prospects in all Major League Baseball coming into the year. So in his first outing of his career, 4 1/3 in that one versus the Cubs, no decision in that ball game. 4 hits, 2 runs, a walk, 5 strikeouts. And now his next outing is tomorrow at the Los Angeles Angels. And no doubt about it, they got great power with Ohtani and Trout as the headliners in that offense. But Mason Miller, like I said, high strikeout guy. He can give you strikeouts. He's not going to give you many wins, but strikeouts and innings, he definitely could give fantasy owners. And right now, surprisingly, one of the top prospects coming up here as a pitcher. He's available right now as Miller in 66% of fantasy leagues. So upside alone, and not even just talking about wins here. He's definitely a guy that could go out there and help your fantasy team. The next guy is Logan Allen, another top prospect in the Guardian system. So Allen, he came up and made his major league debut, and it was a great one for him, no doubt about it, in yesterday's ball game versus obviously a Marlin team that's not a good hitting team at all. But Allen, he went out there and he pitched a gem for this Cleveland Guardian team. And this Guardian team's a solid team, I think. So right now, Allen available in tons of fantasy leagues, surprisingly, at 94%. And he came in and pitched a good outing in his major league debut. 6 innings, got the win versus the Marlins. 5 hits, a run, a walk, 8 Ks, and a quality start. So this Guardian team, a lot of problems in that starting rotation. We know with injuries, and we just know with not great pitching. Controls day to day. Plesac, he hasn't looked all that great so far this season. And Gaddis, another guy in Battenfield that'll be in and out of the rotation. So right now, I know Big B's the big prospect over there in the Guardian system that people are waiting for them to call him up. But right now, Logan Allen, he came up and he pitched good baseball, and we'll see if Big B will come up in the future. But right now, Logan Allen out there, 94% of fantasy leagues, and we don't know if he's going to stay up for long with the Major League Club. But right now, after a great Major League debut, he's definitely a guy to go out there and get. And like I said, he's one of the top prospects in them, and he pitched a great game, so go out there and get him this week. Next guy's Braxton Garrett of the Miami Marlins. So Garrett, he went out there his last outing, and he pitched good versus the Guardians. And right now, Garrett's available in tons of leagues at 92%. So on the season, 19 innings, 1-0 record, 16 strikeouts, a 2.84 ERA, and a 1.42 whip. So Garrett, he don't go that deep into games, but he's going to give you strikeouts, and he's not going to give up a ton of runs as well, which obviously is a good thing here for Braxton Garrett. So the last few outings here for him: April 9th at the Mets, 4 2/3, no decision, 9 hits, 2 runs, a walk, 7 strikeouts in that one. April 15th versus the Diamondbacks, 5 2/3, no decision, 4 hits, a run, a walk, 5 strikeouts. And April 22nd at the Guardians, 5 2/3 in that one, got the win, 5 hits, a run, a walk, 3 strikeouts in that game. So right now, he's pitching pretty solid as Garrett. He's only going to be 5 innings, 6 at top, pitching for this Miami Marlin team, and he's not going to get a lot of run support. We know that, and especially in a tough division with the Mets, Braves, and Phillies that are all solid ball teams, he's not going to get tons of wins. But like I said, it's tough to find pitching this season, a lot of injuries, and a lot of guys just not going deep into games. So right now, while Garrett's been halfway decent, and a guy you can rely on at the back end of your rotation in fantasy baseball, pitcher I would go out there and get this week. The next guy, Wade Miley of the Milwaukee Brewers. Surprisingly, Wade Miley, he's still out there in a decent amount of fantasy leagues at 52%. He came off a monster game last week, and so far this season, he's off to a hot start. 23 innings, 3-1 record, 17 strikeouts, a 1.96 ERA, 0.96 WHIP, and 2 quality starts on the season here for Wade Miley. So Miley, we know he's a journeyman. We know he's bounced around the league over the last few seasons, but he's still a crafty lefty that could get outs and go deep into ball games in innings. So the last few outings here for Miley: April 10th at Diamondbacks, 5 innings, got the loss, 5 hits, 3 runs, 3 walks, and that one 3 Ks. April 16th at the Padres, he mowed them down, 7 innings, got the win, 4 hits in that one, no runs, 8 Ks, a quality start. And April 22nd, a mediocre outing, but he still went out there and got the win, 5 innings versus the Red Sox, got the win in that ball game, 4 hits, 2 runs, a walk, 3 Ks. So Wade Miley, he's pitching pretty good. He's got a good offense behind him over there in Milwaukee. And even in the NL Central, not great hitting teams in that one. I know the Cubs are off to a good start hitting. Cardinals, they've been up and down so far in the early going. But right now, Wade Miley, he's gone out there and he's performed pretty solid. 3 out of 4 starts this season. And right now, a guy out there in 52% of fantasy leagues with a good offense behind him is definitely a guy you would want on your roster, and you should go out there and get this week. The next guy is Joey Lucchesi of the New York Mets. So we haven't seen Lucchesi in a long time in the major leagues here with injuries. And right now, Lucchesi, he's getting an opportunity with all the injuries in the Mets pitching rotation. With Carrasco out, Verlander still hasn't made his Met debut. He's been out the whole season, obviously. Quintana out to June or July with the rib injury. So the Mets stay struggling for back-end rotation help, and Lucchesi came up in his season debut after being out all last season with the Tommy John, and he pitched a gem in that ball game versus San Francisco Giants. So right now, Lucchesi's still out there in 94% of fantasy leagues, and it's confirmed he's going to go out there and get another outing for this New York Met team versus a pretty weak Washington Nationals offense. So right here in that only outing for Lucchesi at the Giants, 7 innings, got the win in that ball game. Only 4 hits, 2 walks, and 9 strikeouts with a quality start. So that curveball was working. He was hitting his spots, and we know this Giant team's not a good team at all this season here. I know they got some decent hitters, but they're not piecing it together, and they're pretty weak offense. But now Lucchesi's next outing is April 27th versus another weak offense in the Washington Nationals, and he has a pretty decent offense behind him. He's Lucchesi that could get him run support. And right now, while he's out there in 94% of fantasy leagues, and like I keep mentioning, it's tough to find starting pitching out there. Lucchesi's definitely a guy who would go out there and get on my roster. I don't know if he's going to stick around the rotation, obviously, when Carrasco and Verlander come back, but for the time being right now, it looks like he'll be the Mets' 4th or 5th starter, depending how they line things up. And he's a guy who will go out there and get this week. And I know pitcher I looked at on the wire this week. He is a closer, A.J. Puke of the Miami Marlins. So Puke, he's gone out there and he's pitching good, former Oakland Athletic and former top prospect in the system. Obviously, he was a starting pitcher, but it didn't pan out. So now the Marlins, they made him a closer. And so far this season, a great season it's been for him in a short sample size. 9 innings, 1-0 record, 4 saves, 9 strikeouts, a 1 ERA, and an 0.89 whip. So I know there's only this Marlin team, they're above 500 in the early going here. I don't know if that's going to stick in a tough NL East this season with good teams like the Mets, Braves, and Phillies. But he's going out there, he's closing out ball games. Like I said, former top prospect, and maybe a change of scenery is just what he needed, his Puke. So right now, while he's doing good with the Marlins, and if someone needs a closer out there, he's available only in 42% of fantasy leagues. So if he keeps up the good work right now, obviously he won't be available by next week in many leagues. So that's a few pitchers I look to add off the wire here in week 4 of the fantasy baseball season.